Hey guys, I'm Azra.
And I'm Aisha, and today we're going to be doing a really fun video. It's going to be like a story time video. It's going to be the time we switched classes.
I don't know why I'm excited.
Yes, because we actually have two experiences. Once when we were like in 4th grade and once...
That was a bad experience.
Yeah, and the other one
was this year,
just past April Fools. So we're going to tell you guys a little story about how that went down and what happened.
Because a lot of people always ask us like if we switch classes, and they kind of want to know the background story. So we thought it'd be fun to maybe you guys would find it interesting to see what happened because we had lots of questions.
We did. Okay, so let's get started. So the first story will be when we were in 4th grade, and I had a really nice teacher, but she had like a really
I had
mean teacher.
2 teachers, and they were like really mean. Like I don't want to say their names, but you know who you are. They were so mean. I don't know why they hated me. Okay, first of all, I was student of the month every single year until 4th grade.
And also that teacher was our sister's teacher.
Our old sister's,
our older sister's teacher, and she was nasty to her. So basically what happened was it was close to April Fool. Was it April Fool?
I think it was close.
I don't think it was
exactly.
Yeah, I think it was just around that time. And we were planning on switching classes for a while because we wanted to do it so bad. Because a lot of people would ask us, and we were like, oh, maybe we should try and stuff. So we asked our mom just in case, she was okay with it. So she's like, yeah, totally. She
didn't want to get mad or something.
Yeah, she's like, no, I think it'll be funny if you guys do that. So, the switching process went down. I went to her class, and all her friends helped me out to sit down where I sit.
So we kind of had it planned. Like we got a few of our friends
to tell us where we sit and help us out.
So we took some people from my class and some from her class, and I would explain to them what was about to go down, and they were kind of helping us out to see where I would sit, if there was any questions, if we had to do anything different in class. She had to do this thing where she had to come in and read for 5 minutes and then explain her story, which a 5-minute journal entry.
She was working on an essay or something, and I had to revise and edit her essay for her. Anyway, so
we kind of just explained what we're going to be doing for that day, because the teachers will usually go over what we're doing the day before. So we kind of were just getting each other in all the information and just knowing everyone's staying in the class and
Okay, so the switching, when we were actually in each other's classes, that was totally fun. Everything was well. Then we had lunch in middle school.
So what happened was
we switched back at lunch.
We switched at lunch and
to go back to our regular classes.
So before that we went to our regular classes. I remember she went to my class and I went to her class, and because we were about to have this thing where all the kids would come into the school and parents, and there would be food on the table and everyone would eat and everything. So the teacher's Aisha, can you please come up to my desk? And I was like, oh shoot, I'm Aisha, I have to go up. So I went up, yes miss, whatever. And then she's like, oh, I was just wondering what food you're going to be bringing in. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know what food I was supposed to be bringing in. So I just made up a food. I'm like, oh, she's bringing in this, I'm bringing in this. And then she's like, okay, thank you. And then we got back to our journal entries, and I was so confused. What am I doing?
Her teacher called me, she's like, Azra, come up to the desk. And I was like, she's like, because I thought maybe she knew or something. She's like, okay, we're going to have to revise your essay now because I'm revising everyone's. So she's editing and telling me what's wrong.
So you go up to the teacher's desk and
they'll fix all the mistakes for you.
They fix your mistakes.
Okay, so that went well. And then it came lunchtime, and then we told each other everything that happened at lunch. And we went back to our normal classes. So that was
the back table at lunch. We sat there really last table. Usually they put all the good kids back there because it wouldn't get into trouble. So it was us in the back.
Okay, so then that happened, and then we go back to our regular classes with our regular teachers, and everyone kind of knew and stuff that I was back because I told them that I was going back to my class, and so someone told us.
I don't know. I still don't know. It's still a mystery.
Still don't know. I think I know. It's between 2 people because people had told me one person, and then I figured out another person, but we still don't know for sure.
I don't want to make assumptions.
Yeah, every time I talk to this person too, they're always mentioning when we switched. And I'm like, okay, you're kind of giving something away here, but I'm not gonna say anything. So I think they told my teacher, and they called me and they're like, Aisha, can you come out of the hallway, please? I was like, great, they found out.
I was like,
and it wasn't even a big deal because we were gonna tell them at the end of the class anyway, oh, we switched classes, haha, we pranked you. So we really didn't think anything of it. We're like, oh, maybe they found out that maybe they think it's gonna be a funny joke, but they were serious, and they're like, Aisha, come outside for a second. I was like, great.
Me too.
And I walk outside and she's crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what?
Oh my god, what happened? The principal is up there. This is not even a joke either. And I'm in 4th grade too. Are you kidding me? You're gonna make me cry? So yeah, the principal was up there. So was the assistant principal, and so was our teachers. And everyone was talking about us in class, oh, that's happening. Yeah. And so we go out in the hallway, and they're like, we just want to let you know we found out what happened. How you guys switch classes? And we're like, okay. So they're like, you're gonna get in trouble for this. Then we started crying. We're like, Get in trouble for what? Like, we did nothing wrong. Like, absolutely nothing wrong. They're like, it would have been dangerous if one of you guys were on medication. Like, okay.
That's why we did it. We weren't on medication. We didn't have any tests.
It's not even that's why we did it. If you were on medication, I would have been on the same medication. If we were both sick, we would have been taking the same thing. Who takes medication in school anyway? Like, come on, let's be real here. And they're like, if you were taking medication or on this medicine or something and your sister took it for you, you could have gotten dangerously hurt. And they were like, does your mom know about this? We're like, our mom told us to do it. And so they call my mom. My mom's like, I can't believe you guys. Like, honestly, like.
She was so mad at the school. Like,
yeah,
why?
It was a joke. Why are you doing this?
And then they're like, so you're going to have detention.
Yeah, so we got detention for it. And
so
they made us stay in separate rooms.
She went to the principal's office, and I went to the assistant principal's office, and I sit there and eat my lunch. And she's like, now you have to write a report on why you did this and why
you're sorry.
I remember I had such an attitude. I gave her like the dirtiest look. I was like, okay, I'll write the essay. She's like, this is what you have to write down. You have to write down all the reasons why you're explaining why you're sorry that you did it.
I'll say, I wrote down, you know, I'm so sorry because if I was on medication, I could have died. Like, honestly, it was the dumbest thing ever. Because
it was so stupid.
It was really stupid. So that's the first experience. So
that was getting detention.
Yeah, first time getting detention. That was scary. Like, oh my god, I never want that again.
You know who I just sounded like? I said scary. Nicole from Big Brother.
Who watches Big Brother? Show. So our second story, which was this year, much better experience.
So I remember we were debating this, like, should we switch classes?
Because we were scared that we'd get in trouble again. I was like, just do it. You're not gonna get in trouble.
Like, who cares? No one cares. Yeah. So we're like, all right, we'll do it. Like, we were kind of excited at the same time. But like, what if you?
This was exactly like a month ago, almost.
Was it?
Almost.
It was probably about a month ago. And so it started off like we were like, okay, so we got a few of our friends in on it. I told whoever's in her class because in high school, like, you don't have the same people in every single class. So we kind of got people that we knew that were going to be in that period.
And half the kids would be like in my class for half the day, and then half in hers for half the day. So like we had a group of people that kind of knew.
That kind of helped us with it.
Yeah.
So we got one of our friends to come with me. Like, okay, so this is how it worked. We switched periods 2 and 7, and period 2. We're gonna start with period 2. I had Spanish and she had math. She had geometry. So I had Spanish. So my Spanish room was like all around the hallway from hers. So we got one of the kids from her class to wait with us by my Spanish classroom. We met with her, me, and another kid. So we were all by the door, and we switched backpacks.
And then all the kids that were going to my
hallway,
class,
they were hysterical.
I was supposed to be going to geometry. All the kids that were going to geometry were hysterically laughing because they knew that she was going to my geometry class instead.
So we were like switch our backpacks, and everyone was looking at us.
So all the kids helped her to the room like where she's supposed to sit down.
So she went to my Spanish classroom right by the door, and I was like shaking. You could ask anyone. I was shaking when I went to walk into the class.
My teacher only teaches one class, so
and she's an AP, so like she's like the top of like the math department. So I walk into her math class, and like, first of all, no one knew at first. And then after that, one of her friends were like, she went like that, and like she could not stop laughing.
Cracking up.
Everyone in the class was turning around like, oh, hi Aisha, like as a joke to be like, hi Aisha. I'm like, wow, nice to give it away, like hi, and then like to do the geometry work or something.
True fact, my teacher didn't even know I was a twin at that point.
God, yes.
Let's just say that she's very like, she can't concentrate. So even if I did tell her, she probably wasn't listening. So yeah, she didn't really know that I was a twin. So you know, everything went well down in that class. You know, everything went well. It went smoothly. All the kids were like, "Oh my god!"
They were freaking
out. Like they were even saying it in front of the teacher, like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're not Aisha." And the teacher just didn't pay attention.
She would pay attention, honestly. Like I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
And then I went up to her Spanish room, and we have the same Spanish teacher, except she has second period, I have third period. So basically, after her class, I would have went back to my Spanish class again. So I would have walked out and came back to my Spanish class like 2 times in a row because we had the same teacher. So my teacher actually told me, he was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna say his accent because I can't do his accent. He's like, you guys should switch classes and not tell me, because he always calls me Ozra in class, like regularly, like on a regular day. So he's like, oh, Ozra, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, he's like, you guys should just switch anyway. Like, maybe I wouldn't be able to
tell. He's like, don't tell me when. We're like, okay.
So we decided to do an April Fool's, of course. And so I go into her class and I'm sitting down. And basically, we were doing like this project. So she had this kid, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was sitting right across from me. Mm-hmm. And I was supposed to be Ozra. And he's looking at me like this. I was like, why is this kid staring at me?
Yeah. He's like, feels like that. He like
he puts his eyebrows and he's like, I was like, what? He's like, you're not her, right? I was like, no. He's like, I swear I knew something was different. And then this girl next to me, she's like, you're not right. That's what I was thinking.
Because
like,
she tries to make more conversation.
And yeah, honestly, I'm more outgoing. So like, as soon as I walked in, I had to act like, you know, like shy. Not shy, but like less talkative, because I'm like the talkative one.
I'm talkative, but like it depends on what
like
class.
I was talking to the kid, and he's like, yeah, you're too happy right now. Be like a little like sad. I was like, why she's sad? She's like, no, she just has no emotion. I was like, okay, fine.
Okay, that class is so boring. I'm literally just looking at the board like copying.
Yeah, so like there was like 4 or 5 kids that knew about it, and like they kept staring at me, and a lot of kids kept staring at me. I was like, why are you guys like giving me the camera to shut off? Okay, so going back to my story, thanks camera for interrupting me. Okay, so basically what happened next was that, you know, I was just sitting in her Spanish class, you know, acting like, you know, I was ready, and the whole period went by, everything went well. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, I should go tell the teacher now. Oh, April Fools. Actually, she didn't tell my teacher, my geometry teacher, at the end of the class.
That we
so
switched.
Basically, she just didn't know anything. Until
I kind of kept it a mystery. I was like, why don't I not tell her?
Yeah, so
But she wanted to. So.
Yeah, I wanted to tell the Spanish teacher. So basically, the bell rang, and I was like, April Fools, and he's like, what? I was like, I'm not Azra. He's like, what? And he's like, did I call you Azra the whole time? I was like, yeah, you did. He's like, then he just like sat there for like 5 minutes just thinking to himself. He's like, that's ridiculous. He's like, that's crazy. I was like, yeah, I know. He's like, okay, well, where's your sister now? I was like, oh, she was in my geometry class. She's coming back right now. He's like, oh, you gotta stay in this class because it's your actual class period. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, you're already gonna know the whole lesson. I was like, yeah, whatever. So like, he gave me a fist bump actually. He was like, yeah, good one. I was like, thanks. So then that happened, and all the kids were like, oh, why don't you switch in this period? And I was like, no, it's okay. We already switched once. We don't need to switch again. But luckily did they know we were switching 7th again. So
that
7th period came.
Okay, so
and, wait, let me just say this. The day before we switched classes, 7th period, she has English and I have living environment. And so in English, we have the same teacher again. And so she's kind of, she's not strict, but she's like, you don't know what she's gonna say. And so basically our English teacher, she's kind of just like, you don't really know her, you can't figure her out. So I wasn't sure if we'd get in trouble if we said anything.
So what we did is like, I was scared to go to my English teacher. So like I ditched her the hallway. Like she said, oh, why don't we go ask our English teacher if we could switch? And I was like, all right. She's knocking on the door, and I'm like, okay. And then by when the teacher was about to open the door, I walk away from her. She didn't even notice me. I walked down to my 8th period class. I was like, I'm not staying there. So her teacher opens the door. She's like, oh, what's up? Like, what's wrong? And then Aisha's like, okay, so I had an idea. And she's like, what? Like, say it. And then Aisha's like, so I was thinking, like, she's like, you know how April Fool's Day is tomorrow? And then she's like, yeah, like, what are you gonna do? So Aisha was like, what if we switch classes? And then she was like, that's such a good idea. That's an amazing idea, because she's like, I never had like anyone do something crazy for April Fool's, so like this will make a class actually interesting. And I was like, okay, like I don't even know. There. When she told me that, I was like, I thought she'd be like, no, that's not such a good idea. But I guess she liked it. So and then so she's like, okay, she was into the plan. She's like, this is gonna be great.
So the day came.
It was the next day, and so I walked into her living environment class. Like we went to the hallway again, switched backpacks, and I was like, bye, good luck, good luck. And I walked into her class.
Let's just say that my living environment teacher is kind of like, she wouldn't notice. She doesn't really notice.
Like, I don't know, she's weird. So I walked into her class, like, I'm just doing this, and her friend was helping me out. So she's like, oh, me and Aisha were just thinking, like, for living environment, like.
Yeah, she said this whole, like, okay, let's just say that in that class, me and my friend, like, we answer a lot.
And I didn't know that. I was like, Aisha.
Let's just say I talk a lot.
Yeah, I was like,
not about it. Like,
anytime she talked about living environment, she kind of like, that's kind of boring. So I assumed she didn't talk that much in that class. So I was like, all right, I'll stay a little laid back. So we were in that class, and then her friend was like, oh, like, you know, me and Aisha had this idea about
the vaccine,
like
this whole hypothesis.
And then she's like, oh yeah, what else do you have to say, Aisha? And I was like, oh, nothing else. And then she's like, oh, okay, like, at the end.
She's like, oh, yeah, you covered it all, don't worry.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you covered it all. That's what I was going to say. And then she's like, okay. And,
so then I go to my class, well, her class, her English class, and the teacher's already done on the plan, and I sit down, and she's, like, smiling at me the whole time.
She's like, hey, don't give it away, you keep smiling at me.
She's just, and, like, 3 kids knew me, and so, like, this girl's like, Aisha, I was like, well, she's like, look. And the girl was like,
my best friend, Nicole.
Okay, hi. So, you know, the teacher didn't say anything, and we were reading the book Romeo and Juliet. You guys all read that book probably. And so we had to do this report thing, and basically the assignment was we have 2 minutes to write down as much as we can, and then when the 2 minutes are up, we pass the paper back, and the person has to continue from our sentence and continue writing the report. So, teacher's like, okay, just make sure you sign your name when you pass the paper back, and she's like smiling and stuff. And so right before we were about to pass it back, the teacher goes, oh, by the way, your essay for Romeo and Juliet is due
Monday.
Everyone's like, are you effing kidding me?
Like, are you serious?
Stop. And then like,
come on, I played so much. This is a joke.
And then she's like, oh, just kidding, April Fool's. And I was like, yeah, I knew it. She's like, does anyone else have a joke they want to say? Like, any April Fool's pranks they're gonna say and talk about? She looks at me and I'm like, no, nothing. She's like, she's like, oh, okay, just wanted to know. And she comes up to me, she's like, when are you gonna say it? I was like, by the end of the period. She's like, okay, got you. So I'm writing down my name to sign the paper before I pass it back when the assignment happens, and I write down my name accidentally. And the teacher's cracking up in the corner because she knows that I wrote it down and I crossed out my name and put Oswald instead.
I was like, I bet the person behind me was like, how'd she forget her name?
How'd she forget it, right? And then I passed the paper back and they kept passing it back. And so we, people like, the teacher's like, okay, who wants to read the report for the row? Like, because we all kind of wrote the report together without really talking to each other. So she's like, okay, you read yours. And so she looked at me, she's like, Azra, you want to read your report? I was like, she's probably signaling me to, like, you know, tell the class
that she's not Azra.
Because basically we were pranking the class, not the teacher at this point.
Yeah.
So I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not Azra. And like half the class knew because like, they're like, oh, they did this the other half of the day, and the whole class was cracking up. This one girl taps my shoulder and she's like, she taps me and I'm like, she's like, wait, I don't get it. Azra, I don't get the joke. And I was like, everyone's like, that's not Azra! Like, what do you get that in your head? That's not Azra. And she's like, no, I can swear that is. I'm like, I'm not.
I don't even think we look alike.
I don't think we, honestly, I really wasn't expecting, like, for the prank to go that well.
Yeah.
Because we don't look alike. So, you know, that went down pretty well. This one kid goes, okay, so he tends to annoy both of us, but in, like, different classes because he's in, like, one class for her period and one class in mine.
So I kind of give him, like, as a joke, I kind of give him an attitude. Like, I don't need it. Like, he knows it's a joke. Like, I give him an attitude. I'm like, what do you want from me? And I just start laughing.
And then as a joke for me, I'm always like, oh, hey, what's up?
Like, and love you.
Yeah,
like,
and so
she's kind of more of, like, the good twin. I'm more of, like,
sassy twin. So basically, the teacher's like, I don't get how people can't tell you guys apart. And this one kid goes, I know how to tell them apart. And then I'm like, oh, great, what is this kid going to say now?
What is he going to say now?
Yeah, so the kid goes, not to be mean or anything. I mean, like, Ozra's a nice person and all, but, like,
she got an attitude.
She's not as nice as Aisha. And then she's just like, what do you mean by that? I was like, okay, I'll give you an example. And he's like, okay, go, tell the teacher. So I'm like, basically, if this kid wanted her homework, basically Ozra would say you have 5 seconds to copy it down. But
it's a joke.
Like, yeah, but as a joke. But for me, like, if the kid asks for my homework or to copy out my test, like, I would, like, straight to him as a joke, like, you know. But, like, to show, like, kind of the difference between us, how she's more like, you have 5 seconds to copy that down or you're not going to take the paper from me. And I'm more just like, okay, I don't really care. So the teacher was cracking up and everyone's like, that's hysterical, like, I can't believe that happened. So that ended.
I'm back with her living environment teacher. So I didn't tell her teacher again that we switched
classes. She didn't tell my geometry teacher either.
So what happened was we went back to her living environment class and we're like, she's about, like, we knocked on her door, like, oh, can you come out in the hallway for a second? She's like, sure. And then she said, oh, well, both of you are here. Because I don't have her, but she knew that she was a twin. So she said, oh, both of you are, like, what's up? And then Aisha's like, I wasn't in class today.
She's like, what do you mean?
She's like, what do you mean? And then Aisha's like, she was in class today. She pointed at me.
She was cracking up.
She's like, I knew something was wrong. We're like, what do you mean? She's like, because I remember when this girl picked on me and I said, oh, she covered all. She's like, I know that wasn't Aisha. Aisha would always add on to what the person said.
I would always, like, continue to be like, make this whole, like, statement.
Argument.
Be like,
and I didn't say anything because I was like, maybe Aisha's quiet, but clearly she wasn't because the teacher kind of knew.
Yeah, so then at the end of the day, kind of, you know, everyone was just, like, hysterically laughing the whole day. Like, that's the best joke you've ever pulled. And then I was still thinking, great, I gotta tell my geometry teacher, what am I gonna do? Because she's just, like, not gonna know. She has to be on the plan. Well,
she has to be on, like,
the joke. So it's the next day and I'm in class and the bell rings and I'm like, oh, no, it was actually, because April Fool's Day was on a Friday, I had to tell her on Monday. So it was Monday and the bell rang and I come up to her at the end of the period and, like, 2 girls there talking to her about, like, the homework or whatever. And I'm like, oh, do you remember how Friday was April Fool's? She's like, and she's already stressed enough. Let's just say that she's, like,
she's really stressed.
Yeah, she's very stressed. She's like, oh, great, what'd you do? And I was like, wow, I wasn't exactly in class. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, that was my twin sister. She's like, you got a twin sister? I was like, yeah, I told you in the beginning of the year, but I guess you forgot. She's like, are you serious? And both the girls that came up to her to talk about the homework were like, how did you not notice? And they're going crazy. And then I was like, my sister's just passed by right now because she always meets with me in the hallway before we go to our next class.
We saw like every single.
Yeah, and so she's like, "Oh my god, can you please see me? I want to see your face." And so Ozra comes in the hallway, and I'm like, "Oh, Ozra, come here. The teacher wants to see you." And the teacher is cracking up. She's like, "I can't believe I didn't notice." She's like, "That is absolutely crazy. I can't tell you guys apart." So I guess the April Fool's joke went really well.
So we hope you guys enjoyed listening to our
little story, how it went from bad in 4th grade to great in high school.
If you guys like it, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And make sure you show us that you like your videos and comment what you want our next video to be, because we always need suggestions. So it's good to know what you guys like.
I think, I don't know, maybe you guys might like the twin videos when we tell twin stories and stuff like that. Follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat if you guys want to.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.